They're dangerous in a way that we didn't really realize in this Houston series. LeBron, 24-0 when he and his teams are up 2-0 in the playoff series. So that right there, to me, we're not going to see any historical break. The question is, can they do this long enough to get either Luka or Austin Reeves back in the lineup?
Kevin Durant just had a career playoff-high 9 turnovers in Game 2. The Houston Rockets scored more points without him in Game 1 than they did with him in Game 2. 98 without, 94 with. And a 41-year-old LeBron James just dropped 8 assists in the first quarter of Game 1, the most he's ever had in a quarter in any playoff game of his career. None of that should be happening, but all of it is.
The switch with Şengün. LeBron says, I'll just pull up again from right here. Why not?
You might not want to upset that man.
15 out of 16 ESPN experts picked the Rockets to win this series. Stephen A. Smith went on live television and said the Lakers beating Houston was pretty close to impossible. Vegas had the Rockets as heavy favorites, and honestly, you couldn't really argue with any of it at the time. The Lakers went into this series without Luka Dončić and Austin Reeves, 2 grade 2 muscle strains on the same night in OKC. Somewhere around 56 points, a game of offense gone. And they were supposed to go toe-to-toe with a Houston team specifically built to punish short-handed, undersized rotations. But 2 games in, and the Lakers are up 2-0.
Right pass.
Quick first step, reverse dunk. He still does that, by the way. That quick first step right here.
Yeah, beautiful. Look at the dunk.
Now, I want to be careful here, because this is not a Lakers are back, call the parade situation. They got the Rockets in Game 1 without KD. They got historically lucky from the field in that same game. And if they do close this series out, Oklahoma City will likely end this run pretty quickly in round 2. But what's actually happening in these 2 games is way more interesting than they shot hot and won. The team that's up 2-0 right now does not look like the Lakers team from the regular season. It looks like something JJ Redick basically rebuilt from scratch in about 10 days. So let me walk you through what he actually did, why it's working against Houston specifically, why Houston's game plan on the other end makes almost no sense, and why this is probably the most fun storyline of the entire first round. Luka and Reeves went down in the same game, that ugly loss to OKC on April 2nd. When the MRIs came back, it was the worst case version for both. Grade 2 hamstring for Luka, Grade 2 oblique for Reeves. Both guys out for 4 to 6 weeks. ESPN polled 16 NBA experts, and 15 of them picked Houston. Rockets in 5, Rockets in 6, Rockets in 7. The reasoning was exactly what you'd expect. Houston was the best offensive rebounding team in basketball 2 years in a row. They've got Durant and Sengun. Amen Thompson is one of those athletes who gets to the rim whenever he wants. And on paper, you're looking at a Lakers group that was going to get bullied on the glass and cooked in the paint. Then Game 1 tipped off and everything got weird. The Lakers shot 60% from the field. Their effective field goal percentage was 68%, a franchise playoff record. The gap between their expected and actual shooting was a plus 16.7%. The biggest single game shot making gap in any playoff game since ESPN started tracking it in 2013. Luke Kennard went 5 for 5 from 3.
By Smith. Kennard tries a 3. Got it! Kennard!
They won by 9 even though they turned the ball over 20 times and gave up 20 offensive rebounds. Game 2 was the interesting one. Durant came back and the Lakers' shooting came back to earth. What they had instead was a 15-point first-half lead, a defense that held up when Houston tied it in the third, and a closing 5 minutes where LeBron and Marcus Smart took over. LeBron finished with 28, Smart had 25, Kennard had 23. Final score 101-94. But here's the stat from Game 2 that I keep coming back to. Houston scored 98 points in Game 1 without Kevin Durant. They scored 94 in Game 2 with him. You add one of the greatest scorers in the history of the sport to your lineup, and your offense gets worse. Now, the easy read is the Lakers got hot and got lucky that Durant played badly. And there's real truth to both of those. Durant's 9 turnovers isn't a number that repeats itself. And Houston probably doesn't lose Game 2 if he plays like himself. But if you only look at the shooting luck and the KD meltdown, you're missing what's actually going on underneath, which is that JJ Redick has schemed Houston into a corner they can't figure their way out of. The Lakers won Game 1 by shooting the lights out, but they won Game 2 by defending, running clean offense in the clutch, and letting a 41-year-old LeBron outplay everyone on the floor. 2 different ways to win the same series, and it's not an accident. Redick's first playoff run last year ended with Minnesota physically overwhelming the Lakers in 5 games. So this time around, when Luka and Reeves went down, he had a choice. Swap in guys for Luka and Reeves and hope for the best, or throw the whole thing out and rebuild around what they actually had left. He rebuilt. His line after Game 1 was, "There's beauty in simplicity and there's beauty in clarity." That's what we try to create for our guys. The stated game plan was 2 things. Take care of the ball and box out. Both of which his team did pretty terribly in Game 1 and still won. The real plan was the defensive scheme, and that's the entire reason this series looks the way it does. Redick built the defense around 3 specific ideas. First, Sengun. The Lakers put DeAndre Ayton on him straight up, fronted him in the post with help behind, and switched ball screens aggressively. They funneled him into mid-range jumpers. He went 6 for 9 in Game 1 and missed 8 shots in a row at one point. Second, Amen Thompson. Thompson in transition is basically unguardable. So Redick's answer was to pick him up early in transition, build a wall on every half-court drive, and dare him to beat them from outside. Thompson went 0 for 3 on anything outside the paint in Game 1. They were daring him to shoot jumpers and he took the bait. Third, the three-point line. Houston generates a lot of their threes off offensive rebounds, so Redick had his guys closing out hard on shooters and running them off the line. The Rockets shot 33% from 3 in Game 1 and 40% overall in Game 2. Not disastrous at high volume, but not what you need when your half-court offense is already getting strangled, and the whole thing feeds itself. In Game 1, LeBron had 8 assists in the first quarter, the most he's ever had in a quarter in a playoff game. Not late in the game when he was hunting a stat line. That's how Kennard got in rhythm. That's how Ayton got going. That's how Smart and Hachimura had their nights set up before the second quarter even started. What makes this actually work is the personnel fit. Ayton is bodying Sengun one-on-one, which means the Lakers don't have to send a second defender and leave someone open. Vanderbilt and Hachimura give them switchable wings who can cover 2 or 3 positions. Marcus Smart is the guy, pressuring Durant and blowing up pick and rolls before they get going. On the other end, Redick made one more decision that gets less attention than the defense. He gave Luke Kennard the green light. Any daylight you see, let it fly. That's the offense now. LeBron runs the show. Kennard relocates for threes. Smart creates when LeBron needs a breather. It's not complicated, and that's the point. Houston doesn't know how to guard a team that's this stripped down because there's nothing fancy to scheme against. The real takeaway is that Redick looked at his injured roster, accepted what he didn't have anymore, and built around what he did. And in the process, he exposed something real about this Rockets team. When he forced Sengun to shoot jumpers and forced Amen to shoot jumpers, Houston doesn't have enough shot creation to win a playoff series. Now, here's the part that's almost hard to watch if you're a Rockets fan. Houston has been trapping LeBron and switching KD onto him. Both of those are bad ideas, and it's not close. Trapping LeBron tells him the one thing you don't want to tell him, that you want to let him make the right read. At this stage of his career, are you really scared of his step-back threes, his fadeaways on the baseline? That's the thing you actually want him to try. Instead, by trapping him, you're begging him to read the court. And LeBron is going to read it correctly almost every single possession. He's not going to beat you by scoring 45. He's going to beat you by making the right pass. And everyone around him is going to get going in the process. Then there's the Durant on LeBron matchup. Durant is 7 feet tall. It is borderline impossible to navigate a ball screen when you're that tall. All night long, the Lakers can just run LeBron into a screen and either get him free or force a rotation. It's not a knock on Durant's defense. It's a knock on putting a 7-footer on the guy whose whole game at this stage is making reads against rotations. Then getting switched onto LeBron is the same story. Every time it happened in Game 2, you could see him look for help and wave guys over. And sitting there watching it, you're thinking, why? Let LeBron ISO him? Yes, he might score, but he won't dictate the game. Instead, Houston keeps sending help, which means kickouts, which means Kennard, which means threes. The Rockets are making every mistake you can make against a playmaker at this stage of his career. Through 2 games, nobody has been in more control of this series than LeBron James, with KD and an all-star caliber Sengun on the floor. That should not be the case, but it is. There's a reason LeBron looks like the best player in this series, and it's not just the numbers. This was not supposed to be LeBron's team this year. The Lakers are clearly Luka's team now, and Austin Reeves was the second option. Then April 2nd happened, and suddenly LeBron is the best player on the Lakers again in the postseason, at 41 years old. The stat line across 2 games is 23.5 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Near triple doubles both nights. But the numbers aren't even really the point. Watch how he's getting them. Game 2 alone, a transition dunk in the first half, a transition layup in the first half, a jab step blow by reverse dunk with KD as the nearest defender and nobody at the rim to contest, a back cut dunk later in the game when he got overplayed at the top of the key. That's 4 baskets on a night when he shot 8 for 20. Running the floor, cutting. Simple blow-bys where he's still quick enough to get to the rim uncontested. Now think about KD in Game 2. When does Durant get anything easy? He's never running out on the wing in transition for a layup. He's not back-cutting for a slam. He's not blowing by in a simple one-on-one. He gets everything off the dribble against a set defense. And he's 36 years old. When you're that age, you need the easy ones. Because operating an ISO all night is a grind that wears you down. LeBron at 41 is still getting those easy buckets. Because he's willing to run that hard, cut that hard, beat a guy from 30 feet off the dribble. That's not just a physical gift at his age. It's a mental willingness. And it's why he played 39 minutes in Game 2 and still looked fresh in the clutch. The shot making at his age is one thing. The stamina is the part that actually shouldn't be possible. The supporting cast has stepped up too. Kennard is averaging 25 across the 2 games. Marcus Smart is playing the best basketball since his Boston days. Ayton is winning his individual matchup. He's jamming Sengun in the post, and it's showing up in the numbers. Sengun is 15 for 39 from the field across 2 games. An all-star caliber big who can't hit his short jump hooks, his little push shots, his signature one-footed lean-back jumper. He does that all season long. He hasn't hit it once in this series. Give Ayton credit. He gets maligned, but when he plays well, he's a massive factor. So here's where this lands. The Lakers were not supposed to be doing this. They were supposed to lose in 5 or 6, and everyone was going to spend the summer writing articles about another disappointing Lakers season. Instead, Redick has outcoached Ime Udoka twice in a row. Kennard has turned into a playoff microwave. And LeBron at 41 is looking like the best player in the series. I want to be real about what this probably is. This is almost certainly first-round magic, and Oklahoma City is probably waiting in round 2. OKC is a much better team than Houston across the board. Their defense is meaner. Their offense is cleaner. Shai is a problem the Lakers will struggle to solve. And Chet and Hardenstein are the kind of front court that would give Ayton real issues. But here's the wild card. Luka and Reeves might not be done for the postseason. 4 to 6 week timelines for those grade 2 strains mean there's a real chance one or both of them are back later in this series or by round 2 if the Lakers make it. And that's the version of this team that's actually interesting. Redick spent 10 days building a defensive identity and a clear offensive structure around LeBron, Kennard, Smart, and Ayton. The role players already know what they're doing. Now imagine dropping the scoring champion back into that lineup. Imagine getting Reeves back, so LeBron doesn't have to be the full-time offensive engine anymore. Does that mean they beat OKC? Probably not. The gap is still real. And ramping guys up from grade 2 strains midway to a playoff run is its own kind of problem. But it's the difference between a 5-game exit and a series that actually means something. So what do you think? Can the Lakers maintain this new identity and get past the Rockets? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and check out one of these videos on your screen now.